Welcome back to So You Want to Be a Real Estate Agent. I'm Meredith Fogel, along with my co-host, Alicia Soikawa. Hi, Alicia.
Hello.
All right, so today we are talking about the opportunity that this particular moment in time, this market presents. I think for some agents, this feels like kind of a scary time. And I don't know about you, Alicia, but we both, as you know, coach agents across the country and in Canada. And the Canadians are blissfully unaffected by what's happening in this market. But here in the US, there are some interesting forces at work, not the least of which is the proposed NAR settlement. If you're listening to this after August 15th, which is the new enactment deadline, we are in May recording this right now. And right now, the settlement is not yet adopted, it's proposed. So there's a lot of restructuring, I think, in people's minds in terms of how they come at the business of real estate. And I think for those of us who have been through changes before, we embrace it in that we know that it creates opportunity. So there are some things we were talking about before we started recording today about what we thought present in terms of opportunity. And for me, it's like skill building. I love this kind of a climate where we're put through a little bit of pressure. And because of that, we get to build our skills at a greater level. I think we also have opportunities to reach out to clients in a different way. We have an opportunity to improve our level of service and professionalism to provide more value. And for those of us who are building teams or have teams, I think it's a really cool time to help the agents that we serve learn to build their skills at a greater level as well. What am I missing, Alicia? What other opportunities do you see that present themselves in this market?
I think it's easy to kind of fall to the negative. I think one thing we have to remember is change is inevitable.
Yeah,
There's seasons for everything in life, in all phases of our life, right? We're kind of
yeah,
going through different changes,
yeah.
and it's easier to kind of focus on the scary part of it, the unknown. And the unknown, I think, in any circumstance, whether it's personal or professional, is scary for people because it's unknown. And I think if you're someone that's okay with that and spontaneity, or learn to adopt to be okay with the unknown, that the quicker you will be able to navigate and grow and be flexible and get challenged. It's kind of exciting. I think those people that have that built in, like some people love change and some people, they're always moving or they're doing new things. It
Mhm.
doesn't phase them. And then you have people that are like, I have to do this at 8 o'clock. I have to, they're very much like
Yeah,
they freak out when there's any type of change. What? This is out of order. So I think it's an understanding and makes you challenge yourself and looking at how you look at change yourself and how do you look at navigating things. It's just like we have clients that are like that too, right?
yes,
But I think it's important to be flexible. The world is in a really big shift. I think we've seen it this year. We
mm,
are in an election year as well. There's a lot of external factors, I think, affecting, the economy's under a lot of duress right now. There's so many things going on top of all this, which is causing, I think, a lot of internal turmoil for people
mhm,
that they're wanting to gain some type of, certainty of safety. Like I want to
mm,
feel safe. And so
mhm,
because they don't have their career or they don't have the job or they don't have like the deals that they want, they start spiraling and turning into something that it can be negative instead of looking for the opportunity in it. So
yeah,
I think for me, I try to coach our agents to be like, let's focus on what is the lesson I'm supposed to be learning in the moment from this?
mhm,
And what do I want to do? What can I do to grow from this situation and be more knowledgeable, helpful, and of service? And how do I want to conduct my business going forward?
yeah,
Certain things are going to be determined for us whether we want to or not. It's
mhm,
very similar back to 2000. I think it was implemented in 2015, like all the laws with the banking stuff. Remember, they went from HUD
mm,
to CD if it was a
yeah,
loan, if it was a
yeah, right,
loan.
yes,
And everyone literally had a nervous breakdown about going from the HUD to the CD.
so true.
Now it's fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I
So
always
many things
say,
have
right? Yeah,
happened.
I say seasons and everything will
Yes,
pass, and then nothing is permanent and nothing is as tragic and scary as it needs to be. Just like whoever gets elected will be whoever gets elected.
mhm,
I'm not going to make it political, but it is what it is. And
right,
that's something that at some point we cannot control what the laws are. We have to say, this is the law.
mhm,
We're going to follow the law, and this is how we're going to navigate it. And then what are the opportunities in this new situation? And what do I not like? I think
Mhm.
we're going to see an opening
Mhm.
for people that want to focus positively, which you and I do, and I think we try to guide our clients to do so. And those of you listening, I highly recommend to think about, how can I show value? How can I be a better agent? How can I do better things better, that will protect my clients, protect my business, et cetera, versus going, this is horrible. How are we going to do the business? They're trying to hurt us. Like they're turning into that whole victimization of, I'm helpless. I can't, this is hopeless. I'm just going to leave.
Right. Yeah, and I think you bring
Right.
up two really good points
Yeah.
there. One is there are things we cannot control, right? We cannot control a law change, for example,
No.
but we can control how we react to
Yeah.
anything. We can control our internal environment. So if we're able to reframe as opportunity what could be perceived as detriment or challenge, and will be by some agents who unfortunately probably will get out of the business entirely because they don't have the skills to see what's happening, or they don't have the skills to be able to shift and pivot in a way that creates opportunity. That's going to happen. And you know, it's really interesting, a little bit of a tangent here, but I'm so surprised. I'm not going to say shocked. I'm very surprised though by how many agents, and if you're listening to this and still don't know what's going on, but find out, like read the news a little bit, like read the articles, go into the National Association of Realtors website and look at the FAQs document. But a lot of agents still are oblivious to the fact that this change is even happening. We in the Tom Ferry ecosystem are so well educated. Tom does such a fantastic job of keeping us in the know, keeping us ahead of what's
Yes.
coming, that I think we take it for granted that the rest of the industry knows what we know, but they don't.
They
So
don't.
there's going
They
to be
don't.
I'm going to say an opportunity for us as well, who do know what's happening. And for those of you who are with, brokers who are doing a great job keeping you up to date too, wonderful. If you're not in the Tom Ferry ecosystem, hopefully you've got a broker who's educating you really well and is keeping very informed and keeping you informed. But if you come across people who aren't, this is a time for us too to be able to not like lord our knowledge over other people, but
Mhm.
to be able to say, it's like when a forms change happens, and like there are agents who inevitably have no idea there's a new form. And instead of going, didn't your broker tell you? Didn't your broker give you the form? Like, well, we can't do this transaction because there's a form. Instead, you're graceful and you're generous about it, right? And you say, oh well, I'm not sure how much you know, or did you hear about whatever, and open the door rather than shutting it in somebody's face. Be gracious in that way.
I think it is about, that's the whole thing about cooperative co-op, right? It's cooperation in our business that is
Mhm.
so crucial. And I
Yes.
think
And it's
those
been so lacking.
those that cooperate,
Yes.
whether it's lender, title closing, that all work together as a team to get to the finish,
Yes.
will end up rising above in the end. Those that choose not to cooperate and choose to be I call them problem children, they
Mm,
will get the badge of honor, and people know who they are. Every market has them. And unfortunately, there's, this is the problem, is that stupid people don't know they're stupid. That's why they hurt everybody more than anybody else, because they have no idea how stupid they are. They affect more people in the world than people, because they don't know. Ignorance and stupidity are just like, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
It's not their fault because they don't know. But
Right.
just like there's an ignorance on what it exactly that we do and how we serve all the time. And there are people that run their business so differently. I mean, there are people that
Yeah.
run it very much like by the seat of their pants. And then there are people that have process and checklists for every single, they can't even move without a checklist. So
Right. Right.
it's the cool thing about it is that you get to do the business how you want to do the business within the parameters of the law.
Right.
It's not for you and I to tell people how to do the business. It's and monitor that. It's for us to worry about our clients and how do we serve our people.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why we choose to be collaborating and in a network like Tom Ferry and with other agents that are higher levels, so that we can learn the best from the best. And then
Yeah.
iron sharpens iron. So that you're on the 5 people that make you stronger,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So I think that's kind of the biggest thing. Is I would challenge agents listening to this. If you're looking around your circle and you're like the smartest one, you probably need to go into a different circle.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Well, and the other thing I think is I love that you said like the cooperation piece of it. And I think what's interesting is that this whole piece of commissions being negotiable, which they always have been, and we've always should have articulated that. And I think many agents in a much better way than we have before, but now we will, is when you think about it, I feel like people think negotiation is an adversarial process, but negotiation is actually cooperation. So if we frame it that way for ourselves, that negotiation gives us the ability to collaborate and cooperate. It's not
Mhm.
like we set a price and the price is the wall. No, that's not how this business works at all. In order to serve our sellers, we also have to bring a buyer into the transaction, and often a buyer's agent in the transaction, and
Mhm.
with the ability to negotiate and to come up with a solution that's viable and attractive to both parties, creates a win for both parties.
Mhm.
That's how we serve our clients. That's really the heart of what we do, is help them create an end to results and get to their goals met by carving out an avenue that they might not have had otherwise.
Yeah.
And negotiation
Yeah.
is how we do that.
I think so for sure. I think the opportunity here for us is to redefine our business. And I
Yeah.
think it's beautiful actually, because those of us that have been in the business that do this full time, that treat this as a business, I welcome this change because I think it's going to force everyone to be more professional
Yes. I
and
completely agree.
not dismiss what it is that we bring to the table. I think it's going to be less time wasters, like the people that would just be like, hey, can you show me this house? And we were trained to just run and open up houses without qualifying people
Right.
because we were in that fear of, well, they won't use us if we don't just do that.
Mhm.
And now that the law is going to make it an even playing field for everybody across the board,
Mm.
it is going to really differentiate those that have the skill and the
Yep.
knowledge of the market, and the true local experts are going to shine even that much more,
Yeah.
because then they're not able to lean back on, oh, well, I'm the one that opened you the door. I was the one willing to drive across town to do it.
Right.
So some people get clients based on that as default, not
Mhm.
necessarily because they're a better agent. It's just they were willing to go drop everything, open up a house at the quickest possible, unfortunately.
Right.
Um, and because of that, someone may have felt obligated to use them as agent, whether they wanted to
Mhm.
or not. And they may not even have realized that what was happening.
Right.
Because
Exactly right.
they're
Yeah,
not.
exactly right.
So education is going to be there more for the
Yeah.
buyer. I think it's going to be better service. It's going to be more professional and schedule. It's going to be better for sellers because they're not going to have random people coming through their home. And if
Mhm.
they want people to come through home, that's what an open house is for.
Yes.
That's
Right.
what an open house is for, and there's an agent there to answer questions.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
what an open house is.
Yeah.
Not, let me just because I feel like I'm in town, I want to take a look at house, show me a house.
Yeah, exactly
So
right. Yeah, that's such a good point. I think the other thing that you brought up, and you kind of just echoed this, is, and shout out to my coach, Coach Tasha, for thinking about it this way, is to be able to see it from the client's perspective, see it from the consumer's
yeah,
perspective. When we take ourselves out of it for a second, and so many agents are so up in arms about all of this. Well, hey, buyers and sellers don't understand what our value is. Yeah, because we haven't done a good enough job articulating and demonstrating our value. That's on us. So
yeah,
when we flip it around and see it from the other side of the transaction, from the experience that the buyer or seller is actually having, and we think about, well, if I were that consumer sitting on the other side of the table, what's the value that I'm seeing? What is the value that I am actually willing to pay for? Because if it is a key, if you want somebody who's just a key opening a door, you shouldn't have to pay very much for that,
no,
frankly.
I mean that's just like a fee, like a short,
Right, that's a
not
fee.
a, not a true professional fee. The word
Right,
professional instigates that someone is a professional and expert in what they're doing.
right,
Right,
right.
opening a door, not having any knowledge about the listing that you're showing, and what are the heating cooling systems, what are like, not having any knowledge about the neighborhood or what's going on with the situation, which is often the case. They run and open it, they don't know anything about it. And
Yeah.
I'm totally generalizing and broad brushing because I'm sure there are plenty of agents that do know what they're doing. But I'm just saying in general, because they're going to be in a situation now, everybody has to sign a buyer brokerage agreement, which forces then the conversation of what are your rights as a buyer?
Mhm.
What is the expectation with lending and financing the home? And what does it look like to buy a process A to Z now in our
Mhm.
market?
Mhm.
that conversation has to be, you're going to have to do buyer consults, which
Right.
is only serving the client and serving the public better.
Yes.
And that's great, I think.
100% elevating all of our level of service is huge.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, as listing agents, we've had to go and provide a demonstrable value to sellers, especially if you're in a competitive situation,
Yep.
in very same way that buyers agents just really haven't ever had to do that before. Because we had, in Maryland, we had presumed buyers agency, which is the silliest thing in the world, really, where, just by the virtue of crossing a threshold, then you were presumed to be the buyer's agent and you earned a commission. But it's not all that far from what it evolved into, which is there is memorialized buyer agency through a buyer agency agreement, but still we have procuring cause. So in the same kind of a way, if
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
person that escorted the person through the house, you're presumed to be paid a
Right.
commission,
Pause.
right?
Right. Why?
Regardless of
Why
what.
is that?
Exactly. So now it's going to be very different where you've got to be able to go in, really help the client understand the service that you are providing, the value that you're providing, and they will have a choice. So there could be buyers who, and I'm sure all kinds of different pop-up business models will come onto the scene, some which will be a fee for opening a door. And there will be buyers who are attracted to that and buyers for whom that is a good fit. Maybe those people used to be real estate agents, maybe they're attorneys, maybe they're experts in contract law, maybe they're inspectors. I don't know. For one reason or another, they feel that they don't need the full complement of services that a real estate agent provides. But there will be others who, like one of the buyers that I just put under contract, who in a very competitive offer situation, we got her the house for 11,000 under asking, because we had a relationship with the listing agent, not a close relationship, but I'd worked with her before. She knows my caliber, my ability to get the deal to the finish line, knows that I'm a professional agent, knows my buyer was qualified, the lender we worked with, stellar, all of the things were in place. So that's the power that a good buyer's agent can bring to you. And as a buyer's agent, you've got to be able to begin to tell that story of what makes your services differentiated and why someone would choose to work with you. It's like going to, if you're going to have surgery, right? You probably are going to get a second opinion before you're going to pick the surgeon. You're going to make sure you've got good rapport with the surgeon. You're going to make sure you talk to some people who have had a similar surgery and had a good outcome. It's the same kind of thing. Or you're just going to go pop into whoever's the most easily available surgeon and go do the surgery for me. Of course
No, I
not.
mean, and I think that's important to recognize that these are people's homes.
Yes.
And if it's not, if it's an investment property, that's an investment. Like you don't just, it's not something to be handled lightly. And
Right.
I think that we need to take more care, and the changing of the guard is what I call it, will
Mm.
force people to have more care. And sometimes we need to be forced to have change. Change is not something most people choose to do.
Yeah,
And
exactly right.
right, like just like people
Participant.
get a health scare and they're going to change their ways because they almost
Yes.
die. Like that, we're human beings are so funny. Like it's sometimes until there's a consequence so great, we're not willing to make the change. And that's like,
Exactly.
that's, we're no other business. It's the lending people went through it, the banks went through it, every business has gone through this. And I think
Mhm.
it's just our time to have a change, and
Mhm.
that's okay. And we'll navigate it, and some will do well and some people won't. And it's okay too, because maybe they should never have been in there to begin with. Like maybe it's going to be a great thing, and maybe people will figure it out. And I think 5 years from now, we're going to be like, remember when?
Oh yeah,
It was like
absolutely.
this whole, it's just like, remember when we used to have to wear masks? Like, come on.
Yes. Yeah. Same kind of thing.
Remember, like, it's just like that whole feeling of like, it's always a big deal in the moment. And then when you look past in the past, like, why do we make such a big deal about something that didn't even need to make a big deal about?
Right. Right.
It's always like, just chill your roll. As I tell people, calm down. It's going to be fine. Just do what you need to do to survive and to not get locked up in jail, is what I tell people. Or the proverbial real estate jail. Don't go to
Yes.
real estate jail. It's not fun.
Yes. No. No. But I do think that this is a real shift in the way we've done business. There's no question about it, and something that will be a permanent change, I think.
Yes.
Unlike some of the wearing the mask was temporary, hopefully. But I do think that we have a parallel kind of a change happening too, which is in most of the country, we're seeing a shift in market dynamics. So we're seeing a little bit more inventory come onto the market, things sitting longer than they were.
Mhm.
So what's interesting here is, so we've got on one end, we've got buyer's agency changing massively. On another side, we've got real estate agents who, some of whom came into the market during the pandemic and the subsequent years where everything went on the market, sold in a hot minute, and there was really not that much communication or relationship building having to be done with the seller.
Mhm.
So, you don't have to do that much. You have to do all the marketing and all the other things that a listing agent does. I'm not saying you have to do much, but as far as how to keep a seller informed and involved in the relationship and not pointing the finger at you because their house out of the market for 8 days, which is long in today's market. So I think there's another opportunity that exists as well in terms of sharpening our services to our sellers and our listing agents skills. Are you seeing any of that opportunity, Alicia, where you are?
Yeah, I think it's really important about having conversations about realistic expectations with
Yes.
our sellers. I think there is that like illusion that happen and people get greedy is what I call it.
Mhm.
And of course, we're still seeing a very busy market right now in areas that have like the schools and the certain hot areas that are, I call them recession proof areas. Like no matter what, they're gonna sell, right?
Mhm.
As long as it's not something crazy. There's always neighborhoods that will always sell,
Yeah.
right? And overall, like, yes, we have more than 1 week's worth of inventory. We're at like a month and a half now,
Mhm.
but in the Richmond area. But the difference is that if you overprice, it's a kiss of death.
Yes.
It's not going to happen anymore.
Right. Right.
So you almost need to underprice still and let it bid up like an auction style. And that's what people are used to. And
Mhm.
so what happens is when something's overpriced or even at market, everyone looks at it and goes, they're going to do a price reduction. Let's just wait.
Mm.
And so people are getting more savvy because there's more information out there and they know what it
Mhm.
is. People are
Yeah.
not willing to waive all of inspections anymore. People are not, it's so you have to go in with the listing presentation, say, listen, yes, is this a seller's market? Because the neutral market, 6 months inventory, our market's this
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Just by numbers here alone, you can say yes, hypothetically. However, if a home is not priced right and has good poor condition, your
Mhm.
house is not gonna sell.
Right. So setting expectations, super, super important. And I think good communication through the transaction, because
Yeah.
remember, if you're like, if you've been in a market like most of us has been in, you get the house under contract, you might check in with your seller once a week or so until you get a settlement, but settlement's not that long off. So you're
No.
basically dealing with maybe the title company, a couple of check-ins, whatever's happening post ratification or post contract. Now, what we're going to have to do is keep our seller informed of the market conditions, feedback on showings, if they see a
Yep.
lapse in showing, what to do next, what strategies we can employ to help market the house more effectively. There are going to be different conversations had. And peeling all the way back to that original listing appointment, we're going to have to get really good at helping to explain the changes that are coming in our near future with commissions and how requests for agent compensation are going to need to be handled as part of an offer qualification and review process. It's going to be very different, but lots of new skills I think that
Yeah.
we can
I
learn.
think it's going to be really good. One of the things we learned was for those agents that are watching it, don't call it commissions, call it professional fee
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
because it is our professional fee.
Hmm.
When you hear commissions, you think of a car salesman, right?
Yes.
You think of some kind of thing. It's not, our professional fee is this. That's what attorneys call it. They don't call it that. They call it
Mhm.
professional fee. And we are professional. We are advisors. We are your consultants for life. Typically, they call you when the deal's going bad, during before, during, after.
Mhm.
So we are professionals. Like we're there to guide them through the whole process and hopefully, get referrals from their friends and family. And so if we state professional fee, then they're going to come back and say professional fee.
That's a great tip. Okay, so start calling it a professional fee. I
That was
love
a
that.
huge nugget I took away from a meeting, that the roadmap meeting. And
Mm,
I wrote down and I'm telling everybody, just this is my professional fee.
mm. And the roadmap she's referring to is the Tom Ferry roadmap.
He's traveling
Check,
around the country. You can see it.
yeah,
A wonderful
on the
one.
website.
Yeah.
It's so much excellent information. If you have a chance to attend it, it is open to other people who are not Tom Ferry coaching clients. So feel free to check it out in your area. It is an amazing event. But
He's
I
in
think that's
Florida right now, I think, but I think he's going back out west. But I think
yeah,
it's all over the country, just
it is.
differently. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for those of us who have teams, I would say the last thing is, and for new agents, sharpen your scripts.
Yeah.
Know what to say, know how to say it, know how to communicate effectively. The more effectively you can communicate, the more effectively you can do this job. Communication is, I would say, the number one skill that allows us to be effective with our clients, with other agents, with everybody in our lives, really. But practice those skills, because there are definite scripts that can help you. You don't even have to call them scripts. You can call them dialogues or whatever you want to call them, but just ways to communicate, communication tools that help you be much more professional, much more effective, create the results you want, and help all of these things that could be perceived as challenges become opportunities for you to be stronger and greater in your business.
I would call it being clear is kind.
Mm,
Because some people don't want to have a conversation and said clear, being clear is kind. Kind
yes.
is clear.
Yeah.
And also always using that phrase, what this means to you.
That's a good one.
So I have all the information that I want to share with you, but what does this mean to you? Like
Mhm.
really breaking it down on the outcome. Like what this means to you is we want to get your house sold. So what this means to you is that we got to get these things done.
Yeah.
And being very clear in the conversation you're having with your sellers. What this means to you is your best interest to offer a compensation, a professional fee, because it's going to open your buyer pool up. What
Yeah.
this means to you is this, right? You're going to end up with more. It's no different than like I had a seller ask me, like, why does someone do for sale by owner? And I'm like, it's just like, why does someone do their own taxes? And he went, oh, that's a good point.
Right.
So like it's a really hard way to really think about it. It's like reframing everything right now. We're just reframing our business.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great way to say it. All right. Well, reframe. We hope this has helped you reframe beautifully,
Yeah.
so that you can think about the opportunity that exists for you. If there are things we haven't thought of that you'd like to share, please comment. We would love to hear from you. We would also love it if you would leave us a review on the platform on which you are listening. Send us ideas for future shows.
Yeah.
Love to hear from our audience, and always so thrilled when you guys reach out with kind words for us. We will respond. If you hit us up on social media, we will respond, and it's actually us responding. So love to hear from you guys. All right. Thank you for listening. I'm Meredith Fogel along with Alicia Soikawa. This has been So You Want to Be a Real Estate Agent. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
If you're interested in learning how to become that go-to local real estate expert all the sellers call to give you their listings, read Farming for Real Estate Agents. You can pick up your copy today on Amazon, Kindle, on Audible, or anywhere you get books.